Hello and welcome to Cultural Wealth Wednesdays. I'm thrilled you joined us today for what I believe will be a transformative conversation about recognizing, honoring, and leveraging the incredible assets that exist within our diverse communities. I'm Dr. Crystal L. Clemens, founder and CEO of Our Village Consulting, and I've dedicated over 15 years of my career to a simple but powerful belief. Every student, every family, and every community possesses incredible wealth that, when recognized and cultivated, can transform educational outcomes. As someone who has spent my career in school counseling and counselor education, I've witnessed firsthand how traditional deficit-based thinking can limit our vision of what's possible. But I've also seen the magic that happens when we shift our perspective to recognize the cultural wealth that surrounds us every day. Cultural Wealth Wednesdays is our weekly space to explore, celebrate, and learn how to leverage the diverse forms of capital that exist in our communities, what researcher Tara Yasso calls community cultural wealth. We're talking about the aspirational capital that drives families to dream big for their children, the linguistic capital found in multilingual households, the familial capital that creates strong support networks, the social capital built through community connections, the navigational capital that helps families persist through challenges, and the resistant capital that emerges from communities advocating for change. Each Wednesday, we'll dive deep into practical strategies for identifying cultural wealth in your school or community, building authentic partnerships that honor diverse perspectives, creating programming that builds on existing community assets, challenging systems that perpetuate deficit thinking, and developing your own cultural competence as an educator or leader. Cultural Wealth Wednesdays isn't just about changing how we think. It's about changing how we act. It's about building the kind of inclusive, asset-based educational communities where every child can thrive. So let's begin this journey together. Let's challenge ourselves to see wealth where others might see deficits. Let's build bridges where others might see barriers. Let's create the villages our children deserve. Cultural Wealth Wednesday. This is going to be a different post this week. As you know, I took a 2-week hiatus from Cultural Wealth Wednesday to mourn the loss of my last grandparents, my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, Helen Hughes Clark. And it was a time that I needed. And I do need more time, to be very honest, but I also felt the need to return to Cultural Wealth Wednesday, particularly around grief. And sometimes we don't really understand how much our cultural wealth, the forms of capital that we already possess, how they sustain us in times like this. So let's go on a little bit of a journey, shall we? We shall. My grandmother dealt with so many things in her life. I won't say how old she was. Let's just say she was close to 100. I'll say that. And in that time that she lived a couple of lives, it seems. She was a teacher. She was a pastor's wife. She was a bishop's wife. She was a mother of 3 children, one of whom she had to bury. She, grandmother to 7. I'm number 6. Great grandmother to 15. And great great grandmother to 2. And in that time, she taught us so much, sometimes without formally teaching us, but she taught us a lot. One of the things that she taught us that is so prevalent in my work is our familial capital. Of course, she didn't call it that. She didn't have the words to call it that, but it was familial capital. Your family is your strength. And no time does that show up greater than in times of grief. Not just biological family, but also chosen family. I grew up in the Black church tradition, and One thing about us in the Black church tradition is once you're family, you're family. And so my grandparents were the pastors and first lady of a prominent church in Norfolk, Virginia. And over the time that they served that church, that they founded, by the way, over time, thousands of people circled through there. Thousands of people cycled through. I had not prepared myself for how many of those people would come back to pay their respects. There were so many people that I hadn't seen, many since I was a child. Some I had seen off and on throughout the years. But it was one big family reunion, it felt like. To be honest, I was a little overwhelmed due to my own neurodivergence. I was a little overwhelmed, but also because I was raised in that, I knew how to handle it, which was step outside and get some air, to be honest. But at my grandmother's viewing, hundreds of people came. Hundreds. Some just to stop by to give us a hug. Some stayed a little bit to talk. All showed their love. And even those who couldn't make it sent their love in one form or another, whether it was through social media or text messages or emails, phone calls, whatever. The love was felt, and I can confidently say on behalf of my family, thank you for surrounding us with that love and continuing to hold us up during this time. But it was very evident that family was at the core. My grandmother would not allow people to call her Mother Clark. No. Unless you were her child or her grandchild, your name for her is Aunt Helen. Because that is what we do, particularly in the Black community. We ascribe familial titles to people: aunt, uncle, cousin, even if you're not biologically related. And so my grandparents cultivated family at our church. Again, so much so that unless you were a direct descendant of hers, her child, her grandchild, or her great-grandchild, you were to call her Aunt Helen. That was so ingrained in her. My grandmother had dementia. That was so ingrained in her that anytime she spent time with my children, who of course were her great-grands, her dementia would not always allow her to remember that they were her great-granddaughters. But she remembered she was Aunt Helen. And I remember her saying to my oldest daughter, "You call me Aunt Helen. I'm your Aunt Helen." Of course, I had to correct her and say, "No, she's your great-granddaughter. She's going to call you Mama like the rest of us." And she goes, "Oh, that's right. Oh, you're my great-granddaughter." But that memory of having everyone call her Aunt Helen was so ingrained in her that that's what she gave to our children. And I remember my daughter asking me, "Mom, why does Mama want me to call her Aunt Helen?" And I had to explain it to her, like, "Baby, growing up in church, that's who she was to so many people. She was Aunt Helen." And all because family was the center of our church. Obviously, of course, God was the center, Jesus at the center, but the second tenet really was family. I also want to talk about, our chosen family again, not just those who came up in the church with us, but those chosen family members we've acquired along the way. The countless phone calls, text messages. Well, the people that know me best know to text me rather than call me, most people. But the text messages of, "Did you eat today? Did you drink your water? The reminders to take care of myself. Because again, those who know me well know that sometimes I forget to take care of myself. And isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? One thing about counselors and folks in the helping professions, we're not always the best at taking care of ourselves. We will preach self-care till the cows come home, but we forget to do it. But that's where our familial capital kicks in. And I have people who are reminding me to eat, reminding me to drink my water. And not only would they text me to remind me, they would send a text message to my husband and say, make sure she eats, make sure she drinks her water, make sure she rests. As you see, I'm outside on a balcony. I spoke this week, or at the time that this is airing last week, at the Advancing School Mental Health Conference in Orlando, Florida. So that's where I am currently recording this. And so I'm outside on the balcony, soaking in a little bit of sun. And I had permission, and this sounds crazy to say, but I had permission to take care of myself. So many people gave it to me to take care of myself. And for me, that looks like going to Disney World. Now, that's not what it is for everybody. But for me, walking around Disney makes me feel better. And I definitely enjoyed my time. I just did one day. That's all I needed. It was a little bit of a boost. And I got 20,000 steps. So another benefit to going to Disney is getting 20,000 steps. So I'm taking care of myself physically too. Ha. But as I'm walking around and I'm looking at all of these families, and I even sat on the plane next to a grandmother who was with her daughter and her daughter's family, going to Disney for Christmas. This is the Christmas season, holiday season, and going to Disney with her family. And it reminded me of my paternal grandmother who did the same, my paternal grandparents who did the same. And though my maternal grandparents never went on vacation with us, they relished their time with us at home. And just seeing these grandmothers dote on their grandchildren definitely made me a little sad to realize that I no longer have grandparents that are earthside. But again, that's where familial capital comes in, because I have so many people in my life who are going to uphold me, who are going to take care of me in the ways that they believe I need, and sometimes there's ways that I don't realize I need. And they're going to help me honor my grandmother. I met so many people at conferences over the last couple of weeks. I actually spoke at a conference in Orlando once again, 2 days after my grandmother passed away. And those people were amazing in my session. I'm very transparent. And so I shared what was going on with me. Strangers immediately jumped into, you're our family and we're going to take care of you through this. Strangers. They prayed for me. And they let me know that it was okay to grieve. It was okay to take time for myself. It's okay to rest. Same thing happened at this conference as well. People were saying, hey, take care of yourself. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you getting some water? I ran into a friend at the conference here, and she said, I hope you're going to Disney because I know that's how you like to take care of yourself. I guess I'm that transparent. People just know I love Disney, and I do. But it's just the reminders, it's just the people that are around me to hold me up in moments like this. And I count it all joy. And it is a reminder of how cultural wealth cares for us in all ways and forms and walks of life. It's a reminder that that even in seemingly sad times, seemingly sorrowful times, that joy can still come in the midst of weeping. I'm grateful for all of you, the audience who watches these videos. One, because you indulge me and you watch my Cultural Wealth Wednesdays, but also I got a lot of feedback when I posted a notice that said I'm taking a 2-week hiatus. I got a lot of feedback and people saying, hey, it's okay. Take time for yourself. Come back when you're ready. And I'm grateful for that, because sometimes in these spaces, we don't always know that we can take time for ourselves. Because of course, business has to continue, and it does. But we have to take care of ourselves, and we absolutely must. And for me, cultural wealth and the forms of capital that we are so blessed to possess has really shown itself for me over the last few weeks. And I am grateful. I will always honor my grandmother. I will honor all of my grandparents. They're all, again, they've all transitioned, they've all passed. And I was the youngest girl for all of them. So it hits a little different for me. Because for all of them, I was their baby granddaughter, their youngest granddaughter for all 4 of my grandparents. And it hits a little different, but it's because they imparted everything that I needed to go forward from here. And everything that they imparted in me, I am going to impart as much as I can, not only to my own children, but to all of you who tune in every week for Cultural Wealth Wednesday. And so I want to thank you for being here again. Thank you for attending this latest edition of Cultural Wealth Wednesday. Different vibe, of course, very personal, but also necessary, definitely for me. So here's your Cultural Wealth Wednesday challenge. Hold your family close. That's all I got.